Very nice. Fact, on the next episode of Got Somme, we are going to be having a wine from Kazakhstan.
So how would you say Kazakhstan? Huh?
Say Kazakhstan.
If you have this in a blind tasting, you'll be lost, completely lost.
Oh.
You'll never ever go to Kazakhstan.
Oh, not as expressive as I was imagining.
The Kazakhstan one seemed ripe, seemed warm, seems like generous. A lot of that ripe macerated strawberry and raspberry, like really floral, but right floral. Very nice.
Have you had any experience with Georgian wines? Have you been to Georgia?
All right. You had a taste. What do you think?
But yeah, it's not at all what I was expecting. What was I expecting? I wasn't expecting. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Got Somme, a wine podcast where we, Carlos Master Sommelier Santos, and myself, Angus Rookie O'Loughlin, get together every single fortnight and bring some wine content to you. It's very hard to come up with different ideas for wine episodes. You know, natural wines, Pinot Noirs from Burgundy, Chablis,
Sauvignon Blanc, and
jalapeno. One of the great wine pairings. Nuts. A good joke for what's coming up. But today, we actually kind of had an idea put to us. Got a DM from one of our listeners who's in the studio with us today. He said he'd love to come with his friends from Singapore and come into the studio and bring some interesting wines. So that's why this episode is titled Listeners Bring in the Wines for This Episode. And there's some crackers that, Carlos, I'm going to be shocked if you've ever had a wine from this particular country.
Well, Kazakhstan is the first time I've tried a wine from Kazakhstan. Not Georgia. I've tried wines from Georgia before, but Kazakhstan, that's a new one. Yeah.
No, I can tell. You're saying the country
very exciting. Why?
You're just adding a syllable into it.
Oh, that's because sorry, that's my Portuguese accent. That's how we say. That's how we say it back home. Sorry.
Oh,
so
yeah.
how would you say Kazakhstan? Huh?
You say Kazakhstan.
That's how I say it. How do you say it?
All right, we're going to introduce the listener to this episode, and he's going to explain, James is his name, where and how he came across these three wines and introduce them to you.
It's nice to have you with us, James.
Thank you.
How are you going?
I'm good.
Yeah, do you have a good morning?
Oh, great.
So far?
Nice and chilly here in Melbourne.
That's it. Well, nice red wine to warm us up.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Dr. Meyer, how did you come across?
So actually a very good friend who's also here in the studio was the one who introduced me to the Dr. Meyer wine. A friend of mine who's here visiting called Eugene. And so I've had this for a little while, but I haven't tried it yet. So I'm keen to see what it's like. He's knows a fair bit about wine, so he suggested it would be a good one.
Nice. No, it is a really good one. Yeah. Funny enough, I have a story with the winemaker himself, Timo Meyer. Shortish guy, big beard, always shows up, dirty boots, dirty clothes at the restaurant. He's delivering his own wine. So very, very fun. Very, very fun guy. Yeah. Anyway, next one. So the Pinot Noir from
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, yeah.
Yeah, so last year I was lucky enough to go there for work, and people had recommended the wines from Kazakhstan. They'd also recommended other wines. So literally I bought this from the supermarket.
Wow, okay.
As I was leaving the last day, not even duty free. But this was one that was recommended to me by a friend who works there. So I thought I'd bring it back and find a good excuse to try it.
That's really interesting. Just out of casual supermarket.
Yep.
That reminds me, you know, back home, Portugal, but then yes, in France and Spain, where you know supermarkets sell good bottles of wine.
Yeah,
doesn't happen here in Australia. We have dedicated bottle shops, but yeah, interesting. And the last one, Saperavi.
Yeah. So again, another friend of mine who I work with had recommended the Georgian wines. This was bought at the same supermarket.
Okay. Oh, in the same country. In
Astana, in Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Wow, interesting. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's typical. Yeah, very interesting how they would be promoting, if they make their own wine, they're promoting someone else's wine from a different country? Because I wouldn't imagine that Kazakhstan would produce a lot of wine.
Yeah, I don't know, but the friends of mine who were there recommended this particular one. So
Awesome. Well, sounds good. Well, that's very interesting. And, at least they show different colors, different characters, surely. And very interesting to see how they reveal.
yeah, I hope
Thanks
you guys
for
like
bringing
it.
them in.
So a big thank you to James and Eugene. And if you want to join us in the studio at Got Somme on Instagram, send us a DM. We usually put out call outs for the time and dates that we're recording. And if you can make it, we'd love to have one or two of you guys in the studio with us. And thanks so much for following and watching and listening. We appreciate it. Carlos Santos, we are going to start on the left-hand side, all of us, which is such a cool treat. And thank you once again, James, for bringing in the wines, especially when it's come so far in your luggage. So we're going to start with Dr. Meyer, which I've had before. I had the Chardonnay before, but I know obviously it's a German influenced wine. As you said, a bit about this maker. Can you tell us what makes this wine so unique for Pinot Noir in this case?
So yes, he's from German background. I think he makes some wine in Württemberg, in Germany, but he's obviously, he was born, I think, in Germany, lived some part of his life there, but we have it as an iconic Australian winemaker, more so.
Cool.
So he's based in the Yarra Valley. Pinot Noir is his thing. Dr. Meyer is one of his wines, as we will try.
So the really cool thing is we are trying two different Pinots from two very different places on Earth. One from just an hour or so from where we sit in the studio today in Collingwood. Another, Kazakhstan, a place both of us haven't visited. And up until this point, the tourism for me has been Borat. And then, so trying two different vintages as well. We have a 2023 Dr. Meyer.
22, if I'm not wrong. 23, 23. No, I haven't seen before, 23.
And what's the Pinot?
The Pinot is 16.
Okay. So a little bit of vintage difference between the two, but really interesting to try these two styles.
Cool.
All right, well, cheers to you, James Eugene. Thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for following. Long time coming, months in the making. So we really do appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right, should we do the side-by-side, nose to nose?
Yeah, we can do nose to nose. Of course, totally different styles of wine. I mean, look, I'm not exactly sure how the wine was made in Kazakhstan, but so Pinot Noir, I couldn't find much information about them. I just know that they've been making wine for centuries. The Timo Meyer is minimum interventional, minimum oak, or low intervention, minimum oak, just really let the wines be whatever they want to be. No fining, no filtration. So we may find a little bit sediment closer towards the end of the bottle. Obviously, the bottle was standing here for a while before we open and pour. But maybe somehow they're quite connected from that regard, that the Pinot Noir in Kazakhstan, would be made probably about similarly. It wouldn't have the biggest treatment in the world and, oak and all of that, but, well, to be seen.
Just off the nose, going between the two, they are wildly different. That is crazy. I find the Dr. Meyer to be really fruit-forward, kind of juicy, young red fruits. And then the Kazakhstan wine, it smells
ripe.
Like a little, ripe, but like dusty and a little bit like terroir-driven. I don't know, there's like a...
I was just looking at the alcohol because it seems ripe. It seems the Kazakhstan one seems ripe, seems warm, seems like generous. A lot of that ripe macerated strawberry and raspberry, really floral, but dried floral.
I'm also getting like that 9 years. I'm getting those secondary sort of
tertiary
aromas.
So 7 years difference. So of course that's huge. A lot more floral, more fragrant, more perfumed. But I think the climate in Yarra Valley would be cooler than Kazakhstan. I would imagine so as well. As I said, I've never been to Kazakhstan, interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
Let's try.
Look, there's people making Pinot Noir in Chianti, in Tuscany. So there are some spots with a little bit of higher altitude. It's a new one, but it is there. So
trying the Dr. Meyer on the palate first. It feels very tight. It feels like like it's got a lot more to express over time. You know, I think opening this 2 years in,
But delicious.
but a very good wine. And I love, you know, what I've discovered sort of over some of our lucky episodes of trying some, you know, older vintage wines.
Yeah.
I've become a bit more of it at the moment, and palate's changed, that fruit forward.
Yeah.
I really love punchy big fruit. Not necessarily, like, you know, high alcohol or anything like that, but just really expressive young wines, kind of really shock decanting them and having fun with that.
100%. And this is one of those. Yeah, there's one I would decant this wine. I mean, typically Pinot Noir you hold on decanting because of, you know, being a delicate wine, etc., and, you know, softer. You don't typically need decanting, but
the only reason I didn't decant these as well is because I didn't know what James wanted to do with the wines after.
Yeah,
I was
fair
like,
enough.
imagine he walks in here and he's got all of his favorite wines have been decanted.
Yeah.
He's going off for a BYO lunch and he's like, "Oh, thanks, guys."
Yeah,
So I didn't know what we were doing. So I just
think this could be double decanted. You know, put in a decanter and then back into the bottle. I think this wine could hold well that. As tannin, it has a little bit of tannin, even as a Pinot Noir. Has a lovely fresh acidity, has a lovely fruit character, and even only just as a 2023, he has a lot of he has a little bit of development. He's only 2 years old, but I feel like there's a little bit of a touch of very fine leather start showing up. So it's really good. Really, really nice.
beautiful wine, and a great pick. I'm going to try that next to our Kazakhstan wine while it's kind of fresh in my mouth. Also getting sort of a nice longer finish on that wine. But also acid's really kind of building up for me. As the wine kind of stays on my palate. It's kind of medium for me at the moment, which has been interesting because I didn't get that in that initial taste. But now I'm really getting that sort of saliva. Higher acid, not high acid, but higher acid than I expected.
The wine will keep evolving in the glass as well. There's Dr. Meyer. I think he has really that potential. That's why I say decanting or the even double decanting will allow for it to open beautifully. And then of course we have a nice right choice of glass as well with the Pinot Noir glass. You know, broadening up the wine and then closing it at the top, concentrating the aromas. So it's just perfect.
My favorite. It's a Riedel Performance Pinot Noir glass. Fire.
All right.
Kazakhstan wine. I've had a taste as well in the palate.
You had a taste. What do you think?
Not as expressive as I was imagining. I don't know what I was imagining. I guess like a young boy with wine dreams. I was just filled with like all these crazy dreams. I smelt it on the nose. I felt this kind of dusty terroir piece, and I just expected it to be so different. And it's not. It's a Pinot Noir. And like it's a cool Pinot Noir, and it's got a great backstory. But yeah, it's not at all what I was expecting. What was I expecting? I wasn't expecting... I guess, no, I was expecting it to be what I imagine I might have tried, like a Grenache, or like what does Kazakhstan's version of Pinot Noir taste like? Is it more gamay? Is it more expressive?
I really like your point of views. Bring a Grenache. I think
we don't know about
Grenache
the climate, terroir.
I think Grenache probably would be really good there. I mean, look, as I said, like I don't know too much about Kazakhstan wine regions or winemaking techniques, or so it's all new for me, so it's really cool.
What do you think of the wine?
I think it's good. I think it's quite delicious. I do think that there is that freshness of acidity of a Pinot Noir. There is that lightness, delicate, silky tannin, always on the lower side for Pinot Noir.
More tannin on this, I feel, than
more tannin.
Dr. Meyer.
I think there's more extraction. There's a bit more, and that's why I think the climate may be a little bit warmer. Alcohol-wise, we are 13 versus 14, just under 14 for the Kazakhstan. So
I'm really getting the alcohol of 14% on this Pinot. And for me, it's taken it a touch out of balance, where usually the first thing I would get on Pinot is that fruit. Luckily enough, with the 2016, a bit of that tertiary. For me, alcohol's kind of unbalancing this for me.
Well, you saying that makes total sense. One thing I like to make note of is the temperature of the wine, which I think is really good. It's just a touch chilled. So James, you did perfectly bringing that in the cold weather of Melbourne.
I was going to say, did you just walk that in the backpack and we got lucky? The 5-degree morning that was.
No, it's a good temperature for the Pinot Noir. I don't think it's the longest wine in the world. I'm picking some aftertaste, like after a few seconds, like an Earl Grey tea or a black tea kind of thing towards
the tannin as well.
A little bit of tannin, like long brewed tea. But it doesn't, you know, it doesn't take it away from being a Pinot Noir, from being, I think, fairly well made. I don't pick much oak, not really spice, you know, from oak. So I think it's really well made. If you have this in a blind tasting, you'll be lost, completely lost. You
Oh.
would never ever go to Kazakhstan.
Oh, well, of course you won't, because it's not a place.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, right. Hey, look, Noah.
Yeah, no, I guess that's a great point. You know, when you do your blind taste to become a master sommelier, you got 8 blind wines in front of you.
Look, if they put this in the, yeah,
Everyone
I
would
wouldn't
fail,
have
right?
passed it. I wouldn't have passed it. Thanks for not putting this on a master's exam, or at least I didn't call it. You never know what.
Because you have to get, what, 6 out of the 8 right?
6. This is 6. You gotta, yeah, pretty much you gotta have 6.
Maybe you had a
6.
Kazakhstan wine and there was just one of the ones you got wrong.
Maybe it was the one I got wrong.
And finally, we are finishing with a Georgian wine, which is a really cool experience. Again, as we try our listener James's wine selections. Side by side, just quickly going back, which of the Pinots do you prefer?
Look, I mean, I prefer the Timo Meyer, but I'm not saying that the Pinot from Kazakhstan wasn't good. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Sincerely, like, you know.
Let's check with James. Which one do you prefer? Going with the Timo, Eugene? Timo, and I'm a Timo as well.
In terms of quality, yes, Timo, but no doubt that is really, really interesting. No doubt, one of the most interesting wines I think we've had in the podcast, in my opinion.
And it's a question we get asked all the time as well: is have you tried any interesting wines recently? So now I finally have an answer, because I wouldn't have said Dr. Meyer in that interesting category. So thank you very much for that experience. As we move on to our Georgian wine, one, what is this grape variety? I literally had to Google it. I asked ChatGPT, because even Vivino, the app, had no idea what grape style this was.
Yeah, Saperavi, native Georgian varietal. I mean, Georgian go obviously very, very, very well back. Probably one of the oldest wine countries in the world, where someone probably picked some grapes out of a bush vine and hide them from the population in some clay pot or something, and then a few days back came back to it and like, oh wow, this drinks, the fruit is now juice, and it makes me so happy. You know, my wife loves it too when I come back home with a little bit of this. Anyway, so
you've always got it's always so weird. This is, if you look back on, not to divert too much, but if you really look back on how things were discovered to be edible or usable, like, who first tried milk? Like, who's the bloke who got a cow and had an udder and went, oh, hang on, that's delicious. Come over here, boys. Like, who's that guy? You know? Also, like, I think, wasn't it penicillin was found from moldy bread?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's an old story. Yeah, so you're the same. Like, who went over to some old fermented grapes that had been punched down by feet and went, let's try this.
But
it could have been the Georgians, because they're, like you said, and we're no historians, but we're going back hundreds, thousands of years.
7,000 and 8,000 years. Yeah.
Well, it depends on if you believe in Jesus, mate.
Yeah.
Don't you get too controversial.
Oh, that's right.
BC or AD, whatever. So, sorry, I cut you off. Saperavi?
Saperavi, so a Teinturier grape, so that means black flesh and black skin. Like Vinhão from Portugal is a little bit like that in Vinho Verde. And also Alicante Boucher, which is commonly seen in the south of Portugal as well, for instance. And maybe that's why the resemblance to me in the nose of a Douro Valley, like that black currant, black plum, like a wild black sherry, and that violet, almost like a little bergamot. I wanted to remember bergamot on an episode before,
bergamot.
and now I just and now
I'd never said it in 4 years. Forgot it once, and now you said it 3 times in 4 episodes.
He's associated with with those varietals.
I put it into a Riedel Cabernet glass. Is that about the right sort of choice of glass?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
We're heading in that sort of concentration and dark fruits.
I think so. I don't think Riedel would be unhappy with that. It's definitely not a Pinot Noir. It's definitely not a Piemonte. It's definitely, Nebbiolo. It's definitely not a Sangiovese. It's definitely more towards that Cabernet, Tempranillo-ish. like not a Grenache.
I'm right. It's a good. It's not a bad choice for it.
No,
right?
it's
It could
a
have
really
been
good.
could have been a Syrah glass as well potentially.
Sure.
I've had a taste of this wine. For one, love it. Actually, really like it. But the first thing that my first reaction on the palate is tannin. You know, I'm getting that really grippy tannin, but also alcohol and beautiful flavors of wine. But those are my first two reactions in that first 2 seconds.
After the sip, spicy, like it's mouth watering, which acidity is there. The spicy also makes that mouth watering. Yeah, really delicious. Not incredibly long, but it goes for a while. I think medium palate, but lively, fresh, fruity, dense, concentrated. Yes, sure. More chocolate on the palate than on the nose. Delicious. Food pairing, I think, steak for sure, but also some chocolate desserts probably. I mean, as I said, like, with the Shiraz, I'm not a big fan of sweet wine, so this could be probably an option as well, because it will be a contrast pairing, sweet and dry, but this could work. Hard-based cheese for sure. Very interesting. And Georgia, I mean, like they're coming up because of how they are aged in the Kveri, which is like obviously there's big clay pots. And funny enough, I'm not sure if you've seen on my Instagram, there's my trip to Portugal. And in the south of Portugal, in Alentejo, so in one of the oldest Portuguese wineries, Herdade do Esporão, where there's an Australian making wine. What's his name?
You spoke about him on the episode.
David Beverstock. And we have this huge, clay pots where they do a lot of experimental stuff. And anyway, so that's traditionally how the wines were made. So no fining, no filtration, pretty raw. The wines are whatever they want to be. Really, really incredible, interesting stuff.
Have you got any experience? I mean, obviously Kazakhstan is not somewhere that either of us had experienced from wine or culture before. Except, my partner Emily, she actually went to Kazakhstan. Did I tell you that? My wife.
I haven't.
She hasn't. No.
She
So I
has?
was just setting myself up for that. But Georgia, do you have
Very
any
nice.
Yeah, there we go. Have
Very
you had any
nice.
experience with Georgian wines? Have you been to Georgia?
No. I've never been with Georgia. I have a good couple of good friends from Georgia back home in Portugal that I worked with, but that's all about what I knew about Georgia until I started discovering, the wine encyclopedias by Jancis Robinson and Hugh Johnson. And I discovered Georgia, a little bit of the grape varieties, and only later get to try them. But they have a lot of wine regions. Kakheti and there's quite a few. This is probably one of the most prominent. Yeah.
Well, that was fun and exciting. I've never had a Kazakhstan wine. From memory, I genuinely don't think I've ever had a Georgian wine. So a big thank you to James. I've also had a fair bit of Chardonnay from the Meyer group, but never had a Dr. Meyer Pinot Noir. Go for it.
No, I mean, and yeah, Georgian wine. I remember being at Vue de Monde, of course, but I worked a long time. But I had this Chinuri. So it was a Chinuri, white grape, no fining, no filtration. It was raw. It was orange. If you shake the bottle, there was all the sediment, like, when you have these toys when you turn the snow and, it looked like that.
Or just pet gnats.
But not sparkling. It was dry. And you would have to open it, decant it, double decant. And it was better after 3-4 days, 5 days open. Really, really, it was cool. It was really, really interesting. That was my match with the sea urchin. Amazing.
There you go.
Amazing. Sea urchin and macadamia puree with a Chinuri Georgian wine then.
Well, a very fun episode, and a huge thank you to James and Eugene for not only coming to the studio, they're flying back to Hong Kong, but also for bringing in these wines so far from Kazakhstan for the most part. Very cool. If you want to join us in the studio, of course you can at Got Somme. We'll put up our dates for our Melbourne location recordings. We film most Tuesdays. If you're not following us, please consider doing so, whether it's on YouTube, on your podcast, or on our Instagram and TikTok. All the links are below. A huge thank you to our sponsors, Grays.com, where we buy our kick-ass wines with lots of great vintages. And at the moment, They've got a bunch of Penfolds Grange for silly prices. No, they've got like, the best thing about Greys is I'll always see if they've got huge amounts of Grange because it dilutes the price of all of them. So at the moment they've got like 40 Grange, which means that you're going to get like a $500 bottle of like 30 years.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's it for this episode. A big thank you to all of you for watching, listening, and to, of course, once again, James and Eugene. We'll see you on the next episode of Got Somme.
Yes.
Salud, my friend.
Yes.
And salud to my new friends.
Good guys. Thanks
Cheers.
very much for coming in. Amazing.